I agree that we have a problem with mass incarceration in this country, but do we really want the criminal justice system that they had in Cuba under Castro, where they just kill you?
You jail,
That's fine. Yeah,
Yes.
Well, you're dead.
And what's the education system? What are they teaching kids in Cuba about communism?
Absolutely.
Or you can read, but only 4 books.
Yeah, just because you're investigating the education system doesn't mean what they're teaching you is good stuff.
Yeah.
It's just capitalism is seen as so evil and
You've been covering this for a while, Kat, and do you think that type of education on college campuses, or maybe even starting before that, is getting more intense or backing off, or where do you see it headed?
I think it's getting more intense.
Really?
Absolutely. I mean, it's the irony of someone like Colin Kaepernick being able to protest and speak, whether you agree with him or not, he has the right to do so. That's obviously not possible in Cuba with someone like Fidel Castro in power. Nobody's paying attention to that because it's kind of cool now to, be a revolutionary, and the revolution of, communism, socialism, capitalism is just a bunch of greedy old white people, and people are so busy hating that they're blind to everything else.
But not only has it progressed, it's almost become pervasive. I mean, if a democratic socialist can almost win a nomination of a party, it shows you how cool that's become, and that starts on a lot of these college campuses.
That was the youth, and it has become very popular and cool. And I can't imagine how someone could be so comfortable with. Democratic socialism is different than socialism, but I've gone to rallies and said, socialism, there's some bad stuff associated with that, right? And they're like, well, no, I've seen it really work. And people have given me the example of Cuba and of North Korea and all these other countries, and I'm saying, you're not going there though. Why? I mean, do you not know why no one's going there? Because it's a disaster and these people are monsters.
But this is a foreign policy challenge moving forward for President-elect Donald Trump about what to do next with what President Obama has done in terms of loosening restrictions and whatnot. And when we have a major national security challenge, of course, we turn to Beyonce and we figure out, what does she think?
Always, yeah.
Yeah, nobody listens to me because I just do it for a living. If only I were a singer, perhaps my opinion might matter. Plus, Beyonce goes to Cuba, Jay-Z goes to Cuba. Their experience going anywhere is going to be different than anybody else's experience.
That's right. Yeah. And you had a prediction about that.
Well, I think when they went, I remember thinking that, there were these... President Obama had wanted to do something, an opening up with Cuba for a long time, and I felt like when they went, that Jay-Z and Beyonce were sort of like softening up the ground. It was an advanced trip, and then when the president...
Because the Obama Treasury Department had to approve that trip at that time, you're right.
And they did, and they go, and there's all those romantic pictures, but what you don't see is what's behind the scenes, and that's a real shame.
Right, and I think it's good to try to open things up. I love free trade, but at the same time, you have to be aware still of what's going on there.
The political oppression or regimes that enrich themselves through that free trade to suppress the people.
Thank you, Kat.
Thanks for coming in, Kat.
Happy Thanksgiving weekend.
All right. Well, the president-elect promised a better deal with